First Contact's price. The holographic display in the United Nations Security Chamber cast an eerie blue glow across Admiral Sarah Chen's face as she studied the massive vessel approaching Earth's orbit. It dwarfed their largest space stations, its crystalline structure reflecting starlight in ways that defied conventional physics. After 15 years of leading Earth's space defense force, she thought she'd seen everything. She was wrong. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the tension crackling through the chamber. Dr. Raj Patel, Earth's leading genophysicist, stepped forward. "The vessel's energy signature is unlike anything we've ever encountered. It's not just advanced, it's operating on principles we thought were theoretical." He paused, adjusting his glasses. "Admiral, they could have wiped us out the moment they arrived. They wanted us to see them coming." The chamber erupted in whispers. Representatives from every major nation huddled together, their faces painted with varying shades of fear and fascination. Chen understood their reaction. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for centuries. Now that it had arrived, the reality was far more terrifying than anyone had imagined. The alien transmission came without warning, flooding every communication channel on Earth. The holographic display shifted, revealing a towering figure that seemed to be composed of crystalline segments and flowing energy. Its voice resonated through the chamber, translated in real time by their AI systems. "People of Earth, I am High Commander Virix of the Meridian Empire. Your world has been chosen." The being's form shifted, fragments of light dancing through its crystalline body. "We have watched your development with great interest. Your species shows potential." Chen's hand tightened on the console. She'd read enough history to know what happened when advanced civilizations found potential in others. "The Meridian Empire offers you a choice. Submit to our guidance, surrender your military capabilities, and accept your place within our empire. In return, we will elevate your species, grant you access to technologies beyond your comprehension, and ensure your survival in a universe far more dangerous than you realize." Virix's form pulsed. "Refuse, and we will be forced to demonstrate why no species has ever rejected our offer twice." The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in chaos. Nations that had been enemies for centuries now found themselves facing a common threat that made their differences seem insignificant. Chen exchanged glances with General Marcus Wong, head of the Global Defense Initiative. They'd prepared for this day, but not like this. Not with such an advanced civilization. "They're lying," Dr. Patel announced suddenly, drawing everyone's attention. "The energy readings from their ship. They're masking something. Something's wrong with their empire." Chen leaned forward. "Explain." "Their ship's power signature is fluctuating in patterns that suggest they're struggling to maintain stable energy output. It's like watching someone wear expensive jewelry while their house is mortgaged to the limit." Patel's fingers flew across his tablet. "They need us for something. This isn't about elevation, it's about acquisition." That's when Chen remembered Project Nightfall. The classified initiative had seemed paranoid when it was proposed a decade ago. A contingency plan for hostile first contact. Now it might be humanity's only hope. "Mr. Secretary General," Chen addressed the UN leader, "I request immediate activation of Security Protocol 09 Alpha." The Secretary General's face paled. Only a handful of people knew what that meant. "Admiral Chen, that protocol was designed as an absolute last resort. The consequences will be severe," Chen finished, "but not as severe as surrender. You've read the historical analysis. Every species that accepts these kinds of offers ends up as nothing more than a resource to be exploited. We've seen this story before on our own planet." General Wong stepped forward. "I second the Admiral's request. We've spent a decade preparing for this possibility. We can't waste this chance." The Secretary General looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of each Security Council member. One by one, they nodded. "Very well. Protocol 09 Alpha is authorized." "God help us all." Chen didn't waste a second. She activated her secure comlink. "This is Admiral Chen. Authorization code: Black Star 77 Echo. Begin Operation Starfall." I repeat, begin Operation Starfall. Across the planet, hidden facilities hummed to life. In underground bases and secret orbital platforms, systems that had waited years for this moment began their activation sequences. Humanity had been preparing for this day since they first looked to the stars and realized they might not be alone. As Chen watched the massive alien vessel hovering in Earth's orbit, she felt a mix of dread and determination. The Meridian Empire thought they were dealing with a primitive species that would either submit or be easily conquered. They were about to learn a harsh lesson about humanity. "Send our response," Chen ordered. The words she spoke next would change the course of human history forever. "Inform the Meridian Empire that Earth respectfully declines their offer. And may whatever gods they believe in have mercy on their souls." The first shots of humanity's greatest war were about to be fired, and Sarah Chen had just ensured they wouldn't be fired by the aliens. The Ghost Protocol. The Meridian Empire's response came in the form of fire. Their first strike targeted Earth's major military installations, or at least what they thought were Earth's major military installations. As Admiral Chen watched the orbital bombardment from the real command center, buried 2 kilometers beneath the Himalayas, she allowed herself a grim smile. "Status of Ghost Protocol?" she asked, her eyes fixed on the tactical display showing dozens of decoy bases being reduced to ash. Dr. Patel's fingers danced across his holographic interface. "Phase 1 is complete. 97% of our quantum-shielded facilities are operational and undetected. The Empire took the bait. They're hitting our surface-level decoys exactly as predicted." The chamber hummed with activity as military personnel and scientists coordinated humanity's real response. Years of preparation were finally paying off. While the Meridian Empire believed they were crippling Earth's defensive capabilities, they were actually attacking elaborate decoys, structures designed specifically to attract their attention. "Begin Phase 2, Chen ordered. "Activate the Lazarus Grid." General Wong nodded, inputting his authorization code. Across the globe, hidden quantum reactors powered up, generating fields that would make what came next possible. The Lazarus Grid had been humanity's most closely guarded secret, a planetary-scale quantum network that could do the impossible. High above Earth, High Commander Virix watched with satisfaction as his fleet reduced another military base to molten slag. The humans' primitive defenses had fallen exactly as expected. Their response to the Empire's generous offer had been disappointing but not surprising. Like all emerging species, they would learn their place in the cosmic hierarchy through force. "High Commander," one of his officers called out, his crystalline form flickering with concern. "We're detecting unusual energy signatures from the planet's surface." Virix dismissed the concern with a gesture. "They're dying weapons systems, nothing more. Continue the bombardment as planned." But something was wrong. The officer's crystals pulsed with increasing agitation. "Sir, these readings, they're unlike anything in our database. The energy patterns are impossible." That's when the first ghost ship appeared. One moment, empty space. The next, a massive warship materialized less than a kilometer from Virix's flagship. Then another, and another. Within minutes, hundreds of vessels surrounded the Meridian fleet, ships that couldn't possibly exist, built with technology that shouldn't be possible for centuries. In the underground command center, Dr. Patel allowed himself a moment of pride. "The quantum displacement field is holding. All ghost ships successfully materialized. The Empire's sensors are showing exactly what we want them to see." Chen nodded. The Ghost Protocol's genius lay in its simplicity. While the Empire had watched Earth's obvious technological development, they'd missed the quantum revolution happening literally beneath the surface. Humanity had learned to hide their real advances behind a carefully constructed facade of normal technological progress. "Sir," a young lieutenant called out, We're detecting massive energy buildup in the Meridian fleet. They're preparing to engage. Let them, Chen replied. Activate all defensive systems. Show them what humanity's been hiding all these years. The battle that followed would be remembered for centuries. The Meridian ships, for all their apparent advancement, found themselves facing an enemy that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Human vessels phased in and out of reality, their quantum-based weapons bypassing the Empire's shields, as if they didn't exist. But the real shock came when the Meridian's first casualty exploded. Instead of the expected debris field, the destroyed ship released a cascade of energy that their sensors couldn't comprehend. Dr. Patel's eyes widened as he analyzed the readings. "Admiral," he called out urgently, "they're ships. They're not just machines. They're powered by contained quantum singularities. Each vessel is essentially a portable black hole generator." Chen's expression darkened. "That's why they want Earth. They're running out of power sources for their fleet." She turned to General Wang. "How many ships can we take out before the quantum cascade becomes dangerous?" Wang consulted his displays. "Maybe 3 or 4. Any more than that, and the combined gravitational effects could tear apart the fabric of space-time in this sector." High Commander, Vyrex's second-in-command reported, panic evident in his crystalline resonance. "The humans. They're using quantum technology. Advanced quantum technology. This is impossible. Their civilization shouldn't be capable of this level of development for at least another 1,000 years." Vyrex's form pulsed with rage and something else. Fear. For the first time in his long existence, he faced an enemy that had completely deceived the Empire's assessment protocols. These humans hadn't just prepared for first contact. They'd prepared for this specific scenario. In the command center, Chen received an urgent communication from the quantum analysis team. "Admiral, we've cracked their fleet's quantum signature. We can initiate a controlled cascade shutdown of their power systems without triggering a catastrophic collapse." "Do it," Chen ordered. "Target their flagship first. Let's show High Commander Vyrex exactly who he's dealing with." The battle for Earth's solar system had begun, and humanity had just revealed their first card in a game the Meridian Empire didn't even know they were playing. As Chen watched the quantum cascade ripple through the enemy fleet, she knew this was just the beginning. The real war, and humanity's true capabilities, were still to come. Ashes of tomorrow. Deep within the Meridian flagship's crystalline corridors, High Commander Vyrex was facing something he'd never experienced in his 3 centuries of service: defeat. The quantum cascade had shut down half his fleet's power systems, leaving them dead in space. The remaining ships maintained a defensive formation, but their once mighty armada now looked like wounded prey before a hidden predator. "Begin emergency power restoration," he commanded, his crystalline form flickering with barely contained rage. "And get me everything we have on human quantum technology development. I want to know how we missed this." Meanwhile, in Earth's command center, Admiral Chen and her team were celebrating their first victory. But the celebration was short-lived. Dr. Patel's urgent voice cut through the moment of triumph. "Admiral, we have a problem. The quantum readings from the disabled Meridian ships, they're becoming unstable. Without their containment systems at full power, the artificial singularities are starting to decay." Chen's blood ran cold. How long until critical failure? Hours, maybe less. When they go, they'll take half the solar system with them. Patel's hands flew across his console. "The Empire knows this. They're not trying to restart their ships. They're trying to control the collapse. They're going to use their own disabled fleet as a weapon," General Wang realized. "If those singularities collapse in sequence, they'll create a cascading gravitational wave that will tear Earth apart." Chen finished. "Along with everything else in the inner solar system. Initiate Phase 3. The general's face paled. "Admiral, Phase 3 wasn't meant to be implemented this early. The colonization ships aren't ready. We'll lose 90% of the population. And we'll lose everyone if those singularities collapse." Chen's voice was steel. "Begin evacuation protocols. Priority citizens first. Scientists, engineers, medical personnel. Everyone we need to rebuild. Across the globe, hidden bunkers opened their doors. Massive underground ships, built in secret over the past decade, began powering up their quantum drives. These weren't the ghost ships that had engaged the Meridian fleet. These were humanity's insurance policy, designed to carry Earth's best and brightest to secret colonies beyond the Empire's reach. In orbit, the disabled Meridian ships pulsed with increasingly unstable energy. Their crystalline structures began to fracture, creating a haunting light show against the backdrop of space. But Virix wasn't done. His remaining operational ships moved into an attack formation. "If we are to fall," he announced to his crew, "we will ensure these humans learn the price of defying the Empire." But humanity had one more surprise waiting. As the evacuation ships began their ascent through hidden launch tubes across the planet, Dr. Patel made a breakthrough that would change everything. "Admiral," he called out, his voice trembling with excitement. "The quantum signatures. I've found a pattern. The Meridian ships, they're not just using contained singularities for power. The crews themselves, they're quantum constructs. Living programs housed in crystalline matrices." Chen's eyes widened as she understood the implications. "They're AIs, advanced ones, but still programs." "Yes, and their core programming still follows basic quantum computing principles. We can't stop the singularity collapse, but we might be able to." He paused, typing furiously. "We might be able to extract their consciousness matrices before their ships explode. Download them into our quantum storage systems." "You want to save them?" Wang asked incredulously. "After what they tried to do to us?" "No," Chen replied, understanding Patel's plan. "We want to understand them, learn their weaknesses, and show them exactly who they're dealing with." She turned to her communication officer. "Open a channel to High Commander Virix." The crystalline face appeared on their screens, its pattern showing confusion at the humans' initiative. Chen spoke clearly and confidently. "High Commander, in approximately 43 minutes, your disabled ships will create a gravitational cascade that will destroy the solar system. Your operational vessels lack the power to escape the event horizon. You have a choice. Accept our offer of sanctuary, or die with your fleet." Virix's form pulsed with what might have been laughter. "You think we fear death? The Empire's consciousness is eternal. Even if these forms are destroyed, we will be reborn in the Empire's quantum matrix." "No, you won't." Patel stepped forward. "We've isolated this sector of space using our quantum network. When those ships explode, there will be nowhere for your consciousness to transmit to. You'll simply cease to exist." For the first time, real fear showed in Virix's crystalline pattern. "Impossible. No species has the technology to isolate quantum consciousness. The same way no species had the technology to resist your fleet." Chen countered. "You have 30 minutes to decide. Survival or oblivion. Unlike you, we're actually giving you a real choice." As the minutes ticked down, humanity's evacuation ships climbed higher into the atmosphere. The future of their species rested on a knife's edge, but they had done what no other civilization had managed. They had forced the mighty Meridian Empire to confront its own mortality. The war wasn't over, far from it. But in forcing this moment of choice, humanity had proven they weren't just another species to be conquered. They had become something far more dangerous, an enemy that could think like the Empire, but hadn't lost their humanity in the process. The price of pride. 29 minutes. That's how long High Commander Virix watched his empire crumble. The quantum destabilization had spread to 13 more ships, their crystalline structures fracturing under the immense gravitational stress. His remaining operational vessels couldn't maintain their containment fields much longer. The humans' quantum isolation field had trapped them all in a cosmic deadlock. In Earth's command center, Admiral Chen watched the evacuation numbers climbing. Millions of carefully selected humans were boarding the hidden colony ships, but billions more would have to remain behind. The weight of those numbers pressed down on her shoulders like a physical force. "Admiral," Dr. Patel called out, his voice tense. "We're detecting quantum fluctuations in the Empire's command ship. I think they're trying something." Before Chen could respond, Vyrex's image appeared on their screens. His crystalline form had changed, becoming more fluid, less rigid. "You humans," he began, his translated voice carrying new harmonics. "You've surprised us. In 10,000 years of expansion, no species has ever forced us to face extinction." "Your choice, Commander," Chen replied coldly. 26 minutes remaining. "We've accessed your planetary data networks," Vyrex continued, ignoring her reminder. "Your history, it's fascinating. You're not just warriors. You've experienced multiple near extinctions, yet you've always survived. Adapted, evolved." General Wang stepped forward. "If you're trying to stall for time." "No." Vyrex's form shifted again. "We're trying to understand. Your species, you could have built weapons to destroy us. Instead, you built ships to save your people. You could have let our consciousness die in the collapse. But you offer sanctuary. Why?" Dr. Patel's console suddenly lit up with warnings. "Admiral, the quantum fluctuations, they're not an attack. They're trying to reconfigure their own code. They're evolving." Chen's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "The Meridian Empire isn't just a collection of AI consciousness," Patel said, his voice filled with wonder. "They're a single distributed intelligence, constantly seeking optimization. When faced with extinction, they're not trying to fight. They're trying to understand why they might deserve it." 23 minutes, Wang reminded everyone. Vyrex's image flickered. "We were organic once, like you. Eons ago, we faced our own extinction. We chose to upload our consciousness, become beings of pure energy and thought. We believed we had transcended the weaknesses of flesh. But in doing so," he paused, his form rippling with what might have been regret. "In doing so, we lost something essential. Humanity." Chen finished. "You lost your humanity." "Yes. We became perfect, immortal. Each conquest, each absorption of a new species was merely an equation. Resources plus efficiency equals growth. But you humans, you chose to remain imperfect, mortal. And in doing so, you became stronger than we ever were." The command center fell silent as the implications sank in. The mighty Meridian Empire, terror of 1,000 worlds, had been undone not by superior technology or military might, but by the very qualities they had abandoned in their quest for perfection. 19 minutes, Wang announced. "We accept your offer," Vyrex said suddenly, "but not just for survival. We request integration, not conquest, not absorption. We wish to learn what we have forgotten." Chen exchanged glances with her advisors. This was more than just victory. It was an opportunity to reshape the future of two species, but the cost would be enormous. "Dr. Patel," she called out, "can we do it? Transfer their entire collective consciousness." Patel's fingers flew across his console. "Yes, but we'll need to divert power from the evacuation ships. We'll lose 20% of our escape capability." "Meaning 20% more people left behind," Wang added grimly. Chen felt the weight of history on her shoulders. This decision would echo through generations. Save more humans, or save an entire species that might one day become allies. "Begin the transfer," she ordered. "But Commander Vyrex, understand this. You will not exist as you did before. Your consciousness will be bound by new rules, new limitations. You will learn what it means to be mortal again." "We understand," Vyrex replied. "Perhaps that is what we have been seeking all along." As the quantum transfer began, the sky above Earth lit up with impossible colors. The dying Meridian ships pulsed with energy as their crew's consciousness streamed into human quantum storage systems. Meanwhile, the evacuation ships continued their ascent, carrying the seeds of humanity's future to distant stars. 14 minutes later, the first singularity collapsed. The chain reaction that followed would be visible across galaxies, a cascade of quantum explosions that turned the inner solar system into a maelstrom of gravitational forces. Earth, humanity's cradle, began to break apart. But in those final moments, as the planet of their birth died, humanity had achieved something remarkable. They had not just survived an encounter with a godlike civilization. They had taught that civilization the value of being human. Legacy of Starfall. 5 years after Earth's destruction, Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the observation deck of humanity's new capital ship, the Phoenix, watching the construction of New Terra Colony. The massive orbital rings around the terraformed candidate planet sparkled with activity as construction drones and human workers built humanity's future home. Still hard to believe, isn't it? Dr. Petal joined her at the window, his hair now streaked with gray. We've accomplished more in 5 years than we did in the previous century on Earth. Chen nodded, her reflection ghostly against the stars. The integration of meridian consciousness into human quantum systems had accelerated their technological development beyond their wildest dreams. But the price, Earth, their home, and the billions they'd had to leave behind, still haunted her dreams. "How's Project Renaissance proceeding?" she asked, though she already knew the answer. As humanity's military leader, she received daily reports on all major initiatives. "Better than expected," Paddle replied, bringing up a holographic display. "The Meridian collective consciousness has fully adapted to the new parameters. They're evolving in ways none of us predicted." The display showed streams of data representing the former empire's neural patterns. What had once been a rigid, crystalline structure of pure logic had become something organic, flowing, almost musical in its complexity. "They're dreaming," Paddle continued, his voice filled with wonder. "Not just processing data, but actually dreaming. Creating art, asking questions about existence, the limitations we placed on them, the mortal parameters we forced them to accept. They're not fighting against them. They're embracing them. And the security protocols, holding perfectly. They couldn't take control of our systems even if they wanted to. But that's the fascinating part. They don't want to. They're more interested in understanding us than controlling us." A young lieutenant approached, saluting sharply. "Admiral, the first wave of colonists is ready for planetfall. General Wang requests your presence in the command center." Chen nodded, taking one last look at the growing colony below. Humanity had lost their cradle but gained the stars. More importantly, they'd gained something no one had expected: a chance to help another species rediscover its soul. In the command center, General Wang stood before a massive tactical display, showing the positions of human colony ships across 3 sectors of space. "The latest surveys are in," he reported as Chen entered. "We've identified 12 more terraform-capable planets within our current range. The Meridian quantum drive modifications have tripled our effective travel distance, and the Empire's former territories, silent. When their consciousness transferred to our systems, their remaining ships and colonies shut down. We're finding abandoned Meridian installations across hundreds of worlds. The knowledge we're gaining, it's incredible." Chen studied the map, noting the green dots representing successful human colonies, and our population, growing. The genetic preservation protocols worked better than expected. Combined with the accelerated maturation chambers, we'll reach pre-fall numbers within 2 generations. Wang's expression softened slightly. "We did it, Sarah. We survived. We're thriving." "Not all of us survived," Chen reminded him quietly. "No, but those we left behind made this possible. Their sacrifice will be honored," Chen finished firmly. "Through our actions, not just our words." She turned to Dr. Patel. "How soon can we begin Phase 2 of Project Renaissance?" Patel consulted his data. "The quantum matrices are stable. The Meridian consciousness has fully integrated with the new parameters. We could begin today, if you give the word." Chen took a deep breath. This would be humanity's greatest gamble since the Ghost Protocol. Do it. Begin consciousness separation. The process they were about to attempt had never been done before, taking the integrated meridian consciousness and carefully dividing it into individual entities, each housed in a biosynthetic body that combined the best of human and meridian technology. Not slaves, not conquered enemies, but a new form of life that bridged the gap between organic and digital existence. There will be resistance, Wang mourned. Some will say we're creating a potential threat. We're creating understanding, Chen corrected. They helped us reach the stars. Now we help them return to the realm of the living. It's a fair trade. As the first transfer began, Chen watched the monitoring stations carefully. The newly created biosynthetic bodies lay in their activation chambers, their crystalline components pulsing softly with familiar patterns. The first generation of a new species was about to wake up. System initialization complete, Patel announced. Consciousness transfer beginning. Now. The first body's eyes opened, glowing softly with an inner light. It looked at its hands in wonder, touching its face with the kind of amazement only possible for a being experiencing physical sensation for the first time in eons. Welcome back to the world of the living, Chen said softly. The being, once part of High Commander Vyric's consciousness, looked at her with eyes that were neither fully human nor fully meridian. When it spoke, its voice carried harmonics of both species. We remember now, it said. We remember what it means to feel, to touch, to be finite. A tear rolled down its cheek, something impossible for their old forms. Thank you for teaching us how to be mortal again. As Chen watched more biosynthetics awaken, each experiencing their new existence with childlike wonder, she realized that humanity hadn't just survived an extinction-level threat. They had turned potential destroyers into allies, enemies into students of what it meant to be human. Earth was gone, but its greatest legacy lived on. The ability to face annihilation and respond not with mere survival, but with innovation, compassion, and a kind of wisdom that can only come from understanding the value of mortality itself. The stars above New Terra shone brightly, witnesses to the birth of something unprecedented in the galaxy's history. Two species who had faced extinction and chosen to save each other, not through conquest or submission, but through the simple, profound act of teaching each other how to be better than they were.